What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the third installment of the Supercharger install on the 2001 BMW Z3. With any luck today, we are going to have this thing mounted in and torqued down. Hopefully we don't have too many issues. Directions look pretty simple, so we'll take a shot and see where we end up. Stay tuned. Alright, so I think the first order of business today is going to be making sure the cooling duct for the alternator clears everything. But before we do that, I just want to recap, make sure I didn't miss anything. I want to make this as detailed as I can for you guys. So one of the biggest things we did was we took this oil separator port here, took it off, plugged it, and that was the line that broke. I ordered a new line and then put this barb fitting on and plugged it back into under the manifold. And then we put a check valve on this emissions valve right here. The clear part of the plastic faces the emissions valve. And this guy doesn't need a clamp because it took everything in my might to just get it on there. So now that we got that all done up, I'm going to reinstall this bracket and everything here and put it back into place. All right. Well, it doesn't even fit on there with the good old power steering reservoir. No, it's gonna fit on there any other way. So I made a discovery. Sitting in the bottom of the box was this guy here. What is this, you may ask? This is a new bracket for the power steering reservoir. The instructions didn't say they included this, so this must have been a deal, you know, that was fabricated afterwards. If you notice this mount, it's right off the ring. And the stock one down here, it's a little higher, so maybe that's going to give me clearance issues. It doesn't look like it. Plus, that's what they told me to do in the instructions, but just to be safe, I'm going to swap this out. That'll drop that down a little bit lower and hopefully give me clearance for my alternator cooling duct, which will not fit with that reservoir right there. Okay, as you can see here, I have the cold air duct for the alternator put back in place, and everything's sitting very nicely down there. Alternator's all hooked back up. I left one of the hard to reach bolts out of the cover, but it's got two in there. No big deal. So on to mounting the Supercharger intake pipe here and connecting it to that hose, because I don't know how this is supposed to connect. I mean, you'll see once I get it in here. Alright, so intake pipe sits in here like this, and somehow I'm supposed to use this hose to connect these two. I don't know. I really, it makes no sense to me. None. There's no good way. And this hose I already replaced. I don't want to break it again. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. So it says it's supposed to be an S hose. So yes. I mean, if it were an S hose, this would be turned this way. And we'd be able to get it in there. But it's not. I mean, it's just completely not right. Or this, if this hose barb was at a 90, it would fit. Okay, this guy is going to sit in here like that. It's the best I can do, best I can make it work. Alright, so we are on to mounting the Supercharger itself. So it looks like we need to remove the two bolts that hold the alternator on. So, yeah, one down below, one behind this hose. Let me get this hose out of here. Get these alternator bolts out of here. Alright, y'all, so oil filter right here. Right down here, there is, right there, oil filter bolt. You need to remove this guy right here, and it's pretty long. Ugh. See what I mean? And there's a guide bracket that is on the Supercharger bracket that will sit there, and then there's a little bit longer bolt that comes in the kit. Right there. And that's going to be the one to go in there. So now we're going to prep the Supercharger. The original kit doesn't come with colder plugs, but they did send me colder plugs, and I am actually going to, it doesn't say when to put these in, it doesn't matter. So I'll get those in before the end here. So, I'm going to check the Supercharger, make sure all the drain plugs and stuff are tight, and then I guess we can guide this thing on here. I have checked over all the bolts and plugs on this thing. We're all good. You notice there is a oil drain line on here. That's to change the fluid. This is, again, a sealed unit and self-lubricating. So you just check the oil, make sure it's level after you install it into the car, and then after that, every, I don't know, they gave me a service sheet and a card, so I think every 7,500 miles, something like that. But I am ready to test fit this bad boy in the car. So here goes nothing. All right, y'all, here goes nothing, right? Here goes nothing. It just looks like that's gonna slide way back. Make a little more room here. All right, that is how it's gonna look. And this V3 is powder coated black. I love it, instead of the shiny silver, along with the bracket. So here's what we got going on. I've got the oil drain bolt guide here started. The top alternator bolt, stock one, is back in, and she's loose because now, oh, this is tough, but now I've got to fit this bolt and spacer and nut back through the bottom here and figure out what's going on, how I got to bolt that. All right, so I had to slide that new bolt through with the spacer and then a nut on the back side. You can't even see it. It's let me see if I can, when I edit this I'll zoom in, but right there I had to put the nut, and obviously had to raise the car up to be able to do that. But that bottom bolt is right there. So yeah, and then the spacers, oh, spacers right there. All right, anyway, I'm gonna lower it back down and see what we're left with. Okay, now I had it in there, and problem is I couldn't get my intake pipe on. It was such a tight fit that I cannot finagle it on in the car. So I'm gonna try to do it on the workbench. All right, I finally got it on there. It's a very tight fit. Then I tightened the band clamp. So now it's trying to fit it back in the car. All right, it is back in the car now. And I made a couple repairs. Well, I had it out. I cut that hose. I cut the 190 off of the hose on this side. So it's a little bit shorter, but there's one less turn, putting less stress on this hose here. So that's gonna work a lot better. So it's all good down there. And here I have bolts here top alternator bolt and the bottom alternator bolt with the spacer. And my alternator is threaded, so I did not have to use that nut. Threads right in with the spacer and the short bolt. The long bolt that they supply in the kit is for an alternator that is not threaded, and you have to put the nut on the back side. So next, I've got to install the idler, and then I got to torque all these to spec. Alright guys, so I messed this one up. This is the top alternator bolt. Supposedly I was supposed to put the idler, the new idler, on there. So I guess goes on there like that. So see if you can see this. So the bolt is right there, and it's supposed to go all the way through to there to thread. So I'm not sure why they thought that that stock bolt would work, because it's definitely not long enough. So I don't know, let me think about it, and maybe I'll try that extra bolt that was in there, see if that's long enough. Alright, this is where I'm at, guys. I got the idler pulley on here, but this one, I'm waiting to hear back from VF Engineering. I gave them a call, sent them an email, so hopefully they'll be back to me shortly. But, I mean, for the most part, it's in there. So what I got to do yet is I've got to, the bypass valve, I got to plumb that in, figure out the bolt, and then we're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere, guys. Just take a look at it, and oh man, it's awesome. Looks like it's supposed to be there. All right, y'all, update time. The bolt. So I contacted VF Engineering and let them know the stock bolt for the top pulley to go through, the idler pulley to go through the top bolt of the alternator. The stock bolt does not work like the instructions say. So this is the really long bolt that was the second option for the bottom alternator bolt in case you had to thread it all the way through and use the nut. I did not have to use this one. If you remember, my bottom alternator hole is threaded, so I used the shorter bolt. So I had this one left over. Well, the thread stopped here, you know what I mean? And it was quite a bit longer. So I just took my trusty tap and die set and threaded it down about 1.5 inches. Cut the top portion off and cleaned it up, and we're fixing to see if this can work. And then hopefully VF Engineering works on a solution, or maybe I'm just kind of, maybe my car is weird and was a one-off. I don't know. But either way, we should be good to go. Let's see if this works. It worked. Alright, y'all, it worked. So right here, I put a washer on this this bolt right here, and then, like I said, I threaded it further down, and you can see in there. Maybe you can. It's hard from this angle. Yeah. Right down there. She's threaded all the way through. Perfect. Alright, so that one is good. Now we have to, let's see. Okay, yes. So now we have to tie in the bypass valve. So there's a blank port on the back of the manifold that we have to get that in. I'll try and get a shot of that with the other camera. It's really hard to see, but it's a 5/32 port. And then that is going to tie into, where's my bypass valve? Right here. Bypass valve right here. Top port, right there. And the bypass valve mounts just like that. All right, y'all, if you can see that little plug right there, that's the one that we're going to take off, and that is what we're going to use for the bypass valve inlet. So here we go. Alright, there's the vacuum hose. There. Slide that there hose clamp on there. We'll tighten her up. There she is, all tightened up. Time to throw the bypass in here. Alright, so the long tube on the bypass is going to connect right here to this port coming off the supercharger intake pipe. And there she is. The bypass valve is installed on the intake tube, and then that one is going to connect to the discharge tube, which will go to the throttle body. That's going to be the real fun pipe. You know why? Because it's way down there, and then there's another line right above it that you can just see there. And that was the one that was really fun to just get off of there. So I can't imagine how it's going to be putting it back on. So before that, torque specs. And it's got the sequence in here, the torque specs for each bolt, and it's got them labeled. So that's what I'm going to do now. So here is the intake pipe. I'm going to put these couplers on first because it's so hard to get way back there. So I'm going to put these two couplers on first, and then put the actual supercharger discharge tube in there, and hopefully that will help make it a little easier. There. All right. Whew. There you are. Both of them are on. 1, 2. Now get the intake pipe in. It's the intake pipe for the car, but it's the discharge pipe for the supercharger. This should be pretty fun too. Ugh, just gotta make some room here, I guess. Just kind of shove her down there. I don't know. Oh yeah, this is fun. Oh yeah. I don't know how you're simultaneously supposed to even do one thing under here. If that makes any sense to y'all. But holy moly, this is tight. Gotta massage the coupler. And you don't want to fumble around too hard in here because this whole car's plastic. Come on, man. I don't even know how that bypass valve is going to connect. But now you want to. How's this even supposed to fit? Might have been easier to put this pipe in first. Alright, now I gotta try and get this on. In the process of trying to figure out why I didn't put the hose clamps on. Come on, why didn't you guys tell me? Dude, you forgot the hose clamps. Okay. Alright. A little too late now. Alright, we're good. We are good. Ooh. Alright, fellas. Somehow tighten that feller up way down there. There. Alright. Woo! So we are officially getting there. Everything is torqued. Everything is mounted. All the supercharger intake line is good and on. The discharge line is on. The bypass valve is on. Big improvement today. So this here, if I didn't mention it before, this is the oil drain line. It comes installed on this, so when you do your supercharger oil change, you just drain it out of the line and then you just fill it through the top. Simple. So next, I believe, we have to do this, we replace this plastic piece of junk coolant line here, but I don't have a radiator in yet, so I'm going to skip that step until the end and then I'll just do it all at once. So right now we have to hook up the intake and extend the MAF sensor next. So I think I will save that for the next video. And yeah, we'll go from there. I've gotten a lot done in my spare time, so I'm pretty happy with it. And it looks so good. I mean, look at it. Just, man. Well, there you guys have it. Another successful video and one step closer to getting this thing operational and running. So next video, hopefully we can tie up any kind of loose ends, and I don't think we'll be able to start it by then, but we should be close. Until we meet again, guys. Later.